Alright guys, welcome back to Underground Science, and in this video we're going to be talking about oxygen-dependent killing. Alright, so let's say we take a neutrophil, for example, right, and we have a microbe out here, and the neutrophil sees it, and it's going to try to phagocytose it, right, so it's about to eat it up, okay, and once it does, we're going to form a phagosome inside the neutrophil, and inside that phagosome we'll have our microbe that the neutrophil or macrophages, they can also engulf bacteria like this. And also we'll see that microbe inside the phagosome. All right. So what happens next is what we're gonna talk about oxygen-dependent killing, and in this case we're gonna be using a neutrophil. That's not a good color to do because that's the microbe's color. We'll be talking about neutrophils in this example and video, and how they do oxygen-dependent killing, but know that macrophages can also do this, okay? So oxygen-dependent killing, it actually happens inside the phagosome, okay? So inside this phagosome is where the oxygen-dependent killing will occur. Let's start with the first step, which is basically the use of an enzyme called NADPH oxidase, okay? And what will this enzyme do? So let's erase this. So what we're going to have first is oxygen, right? Obviously the name is oxygen-dependent killing, so you're dependent on oxygen. You need oxygen in order to do this respiratory burst pathway. So oxygen will actually get converted into superoxide anion, okay? And you need an enzyme to do this, and that enzyme is called NADPH oxidase, okay? And this enzyme is actually deficient in chronic granulomatous disease, which we'll talk about actually in another video pretty soon. Okay, so that's the first step of the oxygen-dependent killing. Next step is the neutrophils are going to take this, right, this superoxide anion. Actually, I just noticed that you can also keep in mind that this enzyme is actually membrane bound, okay? This enzyme is membrane bound, so if you want to remember that, that could be important. And then so anyway, next you take that superoxide anion, and then we convert that into hydrogen peroxide. All right. This also requires an enzyme, so that enzyme is superoxide, right, dismutase. Okay. So now we have hydrogen peroxide. Next, we're going to take hydrogen peroxide and we're going to further convert that into bleach, or also called hypochlorous acid. All right, so this is also bleach. All right, so that's basically it. And then the neutrophils will actually use this bleach in order to destroy the microbe. Okay, so that's the oxygen-dependent pathway. But there's still other enzymes that we should talk about that are important, okay, in terms of free radical handling. So we have catalase as one of the enzymes we should talk about. The job of catalase is basically to take hydrogen peroxide and break it down into water and oxygen. Okay, so that's what catalase does. And this is going to be important when we talk about chronic granulomatous disease because there's catalase-positive organisms, okay? And they actually use their catalase to break down the hydrogen peroxide. So our neutrophils can't use this hydrogen peroxide and convert it into bleach in order to destroy the microbes. Okay, but we'll talk about that when we do the video on chronic granulomatous disease. Okay, another important enzyme that we should talk about is glutathione peroxidase, okay, and glutathione reductase. So remember that glutathione can be in the reduced and oxidized form. So in the reduced form, we have glutathione, right? So glutathione can be in the reduced form. So we'll say reduced. And then glutathione can be in the oxidized form. We'll say oxidized here, okay? So the reason why this is important is because remember, glutathione peroxidase, right? Remember, perox is in the name of the enzyme, so we know it's going to work on peroxides. Okay, so glutathione, peroxidase, what it's going to do is it's going to take the hydrogen peroxide and convert that to water. Hydrogen peroxide can induce oxidative damage. Water is obviously safe. So it's good that we have glutathione peroxidase because we reduce the oxidant level, or reduce the hydrogen peroxide level. Okay, but then what happens is the way glutathione peroxidase works is it uses the reduced form of glutathione. And so what that means is that glutathione has extra electrons. Those electrons are delivered to hydrogen peroxide, and then we get water formation. But if this reduced form of glutathione delivers electrons, it then becomes oxidized, right? So then who's going to reduce this back into the reduced form of glutathione? And the answer to that is NADPH will do that, okay? So NADPH will actually reduce the oxidized form of glutathione into the reduced form of glutathione. So that means NADPH must be highly important in order for the glutathione antioxidant to do its job. And where do we get NADPH from? Remember the pentose phosphate pathway, right? Especially the enzyme glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Remember, this enzyme helps form NADPH. All right, so that's also important. And actually, to reduce, so NADPH actually works with the enzyme, or what I should say is that, yes, we do need NADPH to do this, right? To reduce the oxidized form of glutathione into the reduced form of glutathione. But to do this reaction, along with the NADPH, we need an enzyme, and the enzyme is glutathione reductase. And the glutathione reductase obviously uses the NADPH to do its job. And then, that's basically it. Those are the main enzymes and the main things we should know about oxygen-dependent killing. And I hope this video helped a little bit. And I hope to see you guys in my future videos. Thanks for watching.